Hopefully it saves us time.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to this episode's of From the D. We got a little mini episode. We got me and my boy Eric Wheeler, Wheelin, Dealin, Eric Wheeler, running the pick and roll, man. Just a two-man show tonight. We're gonna give it to you light. We're gonna give it to you quick, and hopefully you learn a little something today, man. Eric, how you doing today, brother? Everything cool with you on your side of the tracks?
Yeah, man, the weather's warm. Masters is on. I'm a big golf fan, so I'm very excited to watch that during the day while I'm trying to be productive at work as well. So did that, watch a little bit of Masters while I work today. Like I said, sun's out in Ohio. Feels fucking amazing. Today felt like it was 95 degrees, I'm pretty sure it was probably 60 something.
Hell
And
yeah.
just to be clear too, I do owe TJ an apology because me and TJ recorded a podcast about 2 weeks ago and totally did not save it correctly. So that's on me. We were supposed to have an episode out early and
Hey,
they got
it is
pushed off.
it is what it is, big dog. I told the group chat. I said, man, I'd be having these fucking conversations anyway. This is what I do. I love this shit. As John Gruden would say, I would do this shit for free. I love this shit, man. Speaking of love this shit, brother, we're about 14 sleeps away from one of my favorite nights of the year, man. The NFL draft, brother. Where you at when it comes to your draft interest, your giddiness, your process? Have you been looking into any guys, or are you kind of over? Have you kind of had your fill? You know what I'm saying
Yeah.
with draft stuff so far. So tell the people where you're at, big dog. How you feeling about it?
Real quick, do you have any? I'm just curious because I know you love the draft as much as I do. Do you have any like rituals you do like every year for the draft? Do you have anything in particular you do?
No, I mean, as far as rituals, not really. But I always hop on Reddit, like, for 2 hours before the draft, and I just
Hmm.
scroll Reddit. I just beat Reddit to death
Yeah.
because we were at shout out Sir Michael Clark, man. We were at Mike Clark's house eating sandwiches his mom made when Laramie Tunsil's bong picture went out and change the world fucking as we know it, dude. And to be a what, a 15-year-old boy, and someone comes out, there's pictures of him smoking bong hits out of a gas mask, like that was the craziest thing we've ever seen. So just in case there's any draft night news similar to that, I always like to get it going before, the analysis comes on the TV with Reddit and Twitter and all that stuff, man. How about you?
So the night before, I always watch draft day. Every year, I watch draft day the night before the draft, just because it it's a shitty movie. Don't get me wrong, but them being in the Browns facility that much, Kevin Costner, come on, it's too much fun. I do it every single Wednesday before the draft. Besides that, I usually end up going somewhere to watch because I gotta get better at shutting off my phone though because they're so far ahead now and I want to
Yeah.
know what's happening, but it's so much better if you get the live reaction to the trades and like the you hear the sound, you know what I mean? Of the so I need to get better at that. I'm going to try to stay off it this year, but we'll see because I'm sure I'll be texting you guys the whole time. I know we'll be texting the whole time, but yeah, man, I'm excited for it. Yeah, as far as like player evaluations go, stuff like that, I kind of feel like I don't make a board. I don't do enough to make like a big board or anything like that. But I feel like the first 3 or 4 rounds, I know who I like and like I know who I'd be optimistic about. I know who I'd probably hate. I know team fits I like for random players, stuff like that. I feel like I have a good feel for the draft right now. Um, we'll see, we'll see. Really curious for like outside of like the Browns. I'm almost curious like the position, like certain positions, like safety in the first round is one I'm thinking of. Running back outside of Love, we know Love's going to be at least a top 10 pick, if not a top 5 pick. So I'm interested to see where the next one goes and who it is. You know
No,
what I
I
mean?
feel
Like
the
I'm really interested in that. Receivers and tackles, we'll probably touch on those a lot when we do our mock today. So I don't want to get too far into that. Yeah, man, like I'm now at this point, just we're so close that it's kind of nauseum to sit there and talk about it over and over again. But it's just like it's the only thing I can think about when I think about football. It's just like, oh yeah, draft. Like
oh yeah.
I don't care about free agents here. I don't care about trades. All these and because nothing, it's kind of a dead period anyway. I mean, every team that started that got a new head coach started their offseason program this week, but there hasn't been any major stories from that, unless I'm missing something. But how are you feeling about this? Like, how are you feeling about the draft in general? Not just like
bro.
not just Browns, but like overall. Like, is there anything that you're watching for you think is going to be crazy this year?
Yeah, so I mean, I got a couple things, man. One, you were talking about, this being a dead period for football, and I was laying in bed last night trying to think like, what are we going to talk about tomorrow with Eric? We got the draft coming up. We got the Browns. Todd Monken is getting set in as the Browns head coach. We got weird shit all over the league. And I said, you know what? This is the time of the year where it seems like all 32 fan bases are happy with their teams. This is like everybody, no matter which team it is, you
You get
know,
2 weeks. You get
you're
two
like,
weeks.
okay, you're like, we made some signings. We signed a fucking guard,
Yeah.
we're fucking back, baby. Come on. Yeah, we might have gave this guy too much money, but fuck it, we ride, baby. We're back. And then the draft happens, and you go, oh shit, wait a sec. We needed a tight end and we never got one. It's like, what's gonna happen? Oh no. And then week 8 of the NFL season next year, you'd be like, fuck, like we should have
Yeah.
drafted a tight end. Like I knew it was a thing. But dude, as far as draft stuff goes, I love this shit, bro. I've been watching all sorts of film I can find from all over the internet on obscure guys. I don't make a board. I'm not a board guy. To me,
Yeah.
that's the fine line between like an obscure hobby and fucking schizophrenia.
A
You know,
profession, honestly, a profession. Like I would
yeah,
need to be getting paid for this to make a bit because I don't know how you rank how do you rank your offensive tackle one versus your tight end one? If you think the tight end's a better player, but you're like, yeah, the tackle's so much more valuable. That's why I could never do a big board because I'd be so bad with positional value. It's the only thing I
yeah.
think about. You know what I mean?
Well, and my big moody ass, man, my board would change every day of the week. I'd wake up and first things first, I'd rip fucking a name off the top 10 and put them down by 18, 19, 20. So no, man, I'm excited. I do feel like I have a decent profile on everybody that it sounds shitty, but everybody that's worth having a profile on that I've either watched them play or, read enough about some of the obscure guys to kind of get the gist of like what they are, and if they belong or not. And a big part of this process is having people you trust, man, is having media outlets that can be I always confuse objective and subjective, but can be subjective,
Subjective. Yeah. Yeah.
and not, and guys that don't have a dog in the fight. So I always look to that and try to find guys that I trust, man. So let's get into it, boss man. We got some interesting stuff to go over today. We're gonna do a little mock draft here later in the pod. But let's get into some of the few and far between pieces of NFL news, man. We've had a bit of a weird week. Is there anything weighing on your mind? I mean, I got a couple things, but it's been light, brother. Like you said, it's the 2 weeks of doom for NFL fans. And then after the draft is when shit starts to change, man. Hit us.
Yeah. So I got a couple things. Couple of these. We'll start with some draft stuff first. I saw Tyson's having his own Jordan Tyson's have the Arizona State receivers having his own personal workout, which I think is a great idea for him because I feel like that's how you tell teams like, hey, you want to see I'm not scared of the medical stuff? Like, here, come watch me work out by myself. Like, you know what I mean? So, and I think he's doing that the 17th, which is damn close to that's less than a week
Man,
before the draft. So that's honestly a great move by him and his agent, dude.
if I was an owner, I would say Jordan Tyson, man, let's scrap that fucking personal workout. Let's go get you some X-rays, player. You ever had an MRI? I need to see that skeleton, dog. I need to see what you're made out of, homie.
Yeah.
I'm like, because holy shit, I mean, great play by him, because as well as I do that he was going to have to make some very divisive moves,
Yeah.
and
And
like this is
it's
one of them.
this is one of the silly season things too. It always happens with the draft where like these injuries, everyone worries about it, of course, but there's also no clear source. Like we don't get told what scans brought back, like we don't get told what they find. You know what I mean? Like that just doesn't happen. And, I don't think it's protecting a player thing. I think it's just teams keep everything so close to his vest this time of year that it's just all smoke screens. Like because he still has good odds to be like the number one receiver drafted. And it would be hilarious if he was the fifth pick or the fourth pick overall. And we did all that talking about his injuries. for nothing. You know what I mean? And just be like, okay, cool. At least one, because all it takes is one team. That'd be okay with the gamble, you know? And then along those same lines, we had a CC, help me with his name, tackle from Miami. I always mess up his last name.
Oh, Maunyoa.
Yes, yes. So CC, I call him CC, but he's getting rechecked too for an additional imaging. Like the combine does like the recheck, and he's one of the guys going to the recheck because I guess he had a back issue, super minor, doesn't need surgery or anything, but he had like a back issue that popped up in middle of the season and really kind of hindered him, I guess, and then like run blocking specifically, stuff like that. So he's getting rechecked, but like I said, that's super minor. Doesn't seem like anything too crazy with CC. I hope it's not because I think he's going to be a dog. I don't know where he goes. I just think that he's one of those guys. I kind of look at that Spencer Fano the same way too. The Utah guy is just like, hey, they might not be long term tackles, but they're not long term tackles. They're probably very, very good guards.
Yeah,
But I think both guys deserve the chance to start at tackle before you make that. Kind of like Will Campbell got, you know, like if you're going to draft him that high, start him at tackle first, and then 2 years down the road, you know, if you got to push him into guard, it's not the worst thing. You know, it's not like it's a bust if he's not a good tackle and pans out at guard. But and then the last like draft one that's talking to me. Oh, kind of two. I have seen this trend where a lot of guys like Peter Schrager, guys like Adam Schefter are saying that they think this draft is going to be ridiculously trade heavy. And part of that's because it's looked at as an overall weaker class. Like, and then I think it also adds in that next year's class is, I mean, next year's class is this far out. It's already going to be the most hyped draft class I think we've seen in a long, long time, dude. So I did see that. So that would make me happy just because I think that the trades make the draft fun. It's what keeps teams guessing. It keeps us guessing. It makes the actual product on TV way more enjoyable if there's a lot of trades happening. You know what I mean?
absolutely,
So
absolutely,
that
man.
was one thing that came up, and then the last thing was that came to mind was draft news specifically, and I got some NFL stuff, none of it too big, but was Mendoza's not attending the NFL draft. He's not going to be there.
Yeah, yeah, he's gonna be kicking it at home. He said, man. How long has it been since the first pick wasn't at the draft? Can you think of somebody
I got
off
it.
the? Oh, can I guess?
Yeah,
Oh man,
it was post 2020. I'll give you that.
post 2020, first pick not at the draft. Oh man, hit me.
Trevor Lawrence was not at the 2021 NFL draft, and he was picked number one overall.
Interesting. Yeah. See, Trevor Lawrence was out doing feng shui or tai chi or what? He was doing some
Yeah,
holistic
yeah,
practice.
and I don't think that's a big deal. Like I kind of think at some point the draft deserves shit like this because of when guys do fall, they just put a camera in their face for the entire rest of the draft night and make it super fucking awkward and embarrassing. So I
Yeah.
don't blame. And we know Mendoza's not falling. Like we all know he's going number one. I'm okay with it. I don't think there's a strong take to have on it. I think it'd be way more interesting if there was like a guy that's looked at like on the edge. You know what I mean? Like if who's that guard you like a lot? Uh
Keelan Rutledge.
if Keelan Rutledge decided to go to the draft, I'd probably be like, oh shit, okay, he knows something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because no one's
Yeah.
going there to get drafted day two. Like, you know, like
Yeah.
if you're going, you're probably got good, you know, good sources that you're going day one. So like if he ended up going, I think that list comes out either tomorrow or Saturday. They'll have a full list of all the attendees. So guys like him, I'm looking at like Omar Cooper Jr., that Indiana receiver, see if he goes.
Yeah.
A couple of guys like that. I don't know if there's anyone that comes to mind that you think's like a French first rounder that you'd be surprised if they went, or even if you think it's a second round guy that went. You know what I mean?
You know one that our beloved host Jack Warner will love to hear. Jadarian Price, man. I've heard some rumblings. Jadarian
Dude,
Price might go at
that's
the end of the first round, man.
that's why I brought up like the running back thing that I did. Like I said, hey, we know Love's going top 10, maybe top five. You know, there's a lot of smoke with the Titans right now on him. But it's just like, who's the next one? Because I bet it's probably Price, and it's just like, how high does Price go? Because I've seen the Seahawks for
Yeah.
Price a lot. That's the team. That's about the only team I've seen with that pick 32, obviously. And it's
The
just like,
most
man, that would be wild.
the most recent CBS Sports mock, which, as always, listeners, don't put too much stake in the mock drafts, man. This is all just a crap shoot. Nobody fucking knows till the night. And half of the people wouldn't believe it when after it happens anyway.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
CBS Sports' most recent mock draft had Price at 32 to the Seahawks, and I thought that was really interesting. I mean, if you're the Seahawks, that's probably your need. You just won the fucking
yeah,
Super Bowl. It's just I there's two schools of thought, right? There's the one school of thought where you draft best player available pretty much regardless of the position, because no matter what, you want value for the
yeah. And
pick.
it's
Value
a team
that
that does that's the Ravens. Like the Ravens, a lot of times will draft because they're always in the middle. Pittsburgh kind of does that a lot. They don't draft for a
yeah,
need necessarily so much. Ravens are the best team that comes to mind that does that often. I think is like they'll pass on a position and need to just take like, hey, this guy's the best player on the board. Like, don't overthink it. And that is Jadarian Price going to be the best player at the board at pick 32? Though that's the interesting part because I'm a Price fan. I think
yeah.
I think I think he's a good running back. I think he was behind the best running back in college football last year. Obviously, I think he has the tool to be running a three down back in the NFL. And the sweetener on top is he's probably the best returner on your team if you draft him. Maybe not for Seattle specifically, but because they have what's
Shakir
his
or Shaheed.
yes, thank you. Yes, Rashid
Yeah.
Shaheed. They have him. So a returner is not really a need. But man, I remember looking like Price when this draft process first started, it was like, end of the second round, I'd just be like, oh, that'd be good value. But pick 32, that'd be crazy if we saw two running backs from the same team going. Wonder if that's ever happened before. I'm gonna Google it. Has two running backs from the same team ever been drafted in the first round?
That's a great question, man. And you always I'm more of the value for the pick guy. Like it's one of the reasons why I didn't like the Fannin pick when it happened, because I didn't think Fannin provided like the best value for that pick.
Mm,
And we perhaps we now it worked out, but hey, sometimes I don't think the situation working out makes it any less able to be criticized, if that makes sense. You get
oh
what
no,
I'm saying?
absolutely.
Like,
All
but
these takes, all the takes we have, the pod that me and you do the week after the draft about winners and losers is totally out of the window when week one comes. Good or bad. You know what I mean? Like that's. Well, it's
mhm.
always funny when people grade these teams like they know everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and
And it
I
has
wanted.
happened twice, by the way.
Oh, no shit. Do you have the
2000,
examples?
2008, Darren McFadden went 4 and Felix Jones went 22. And then in 2005, Reggie Bush and Londale White and two
Oh, okay.
went in the first round.
Yeah, no
That is
shit.
kind of crazy.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I can tell the kids I'm old enough to have watched Reggie and Lendell both play for USC like at the same time, man.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
a trip, ain't it? But you know how it goes, man. As far as that draft stuff goes, you get teams like the Rams that are willing to, if they pick a guy and they like the guy, they have no problem reaching 10 picks, 20 picks for a player. I'm just curious to see like what Seattle does, coming off the Super Bowl win and with a pretty stout defense. Like they lost a couple pieces, a couple, not role players necessarily, but a couple smaller pieces, and with the exception of Kenneth Walker, pretty much the whole team's the same. So if you're the Seahawks, man, at 32, and you go, hey, both of the top safeties are off the board. We're kind of scrounging around for edge. Some of these guys have some concerns. We could do O-line depth, but maybe they like Price and they end up reaching, dipping into the second round projected guys and picking a Jadarian Price, man. I think he's awesome. I think if Jadarian Price played for Texas A&M, he would be like a huge story. Like, he would be coveted like a first round pick, but being behind Jay Love, man, that's a tough ask for anybody. Good on him for staying and deciding, to be RB2 behind Love, man. But I wanted to ask too, real quick, while we're talking about Love, there's no chance he makes it past Washington at 7, right? Because I think it like, you have the Titans, you have Washington at 7. You got the Saints coming up. I just
Yeah, I mean, it's the Titans thing. I kind of don't understand why it's like a foregone conclusion that he's going there right now, only because this is very Titan specific. Look at that offensive line and tell me what guy's going to start there in 2 years outside of Peter Sharkowski or whatever his
Skoronski.
name.
Yeah.
Yes, outside of Peter's him, who's the next guy that's going to start there in 2 years? So I feel like them being that pick and them having their pick of the litter of an offensive lineman that they want. And Jeremiah Love's going to be a stud. We all know. We're all high on him. I mean, there's no reason to be low on him. I think he has all the tools. He's elite in multiple aspects. It's just, man, I don't know if the Titans should pass on an offensive lineman for Jeremiah Love. And if the Titans pass him, that's when it's like really fun because then it's just like, okay, because now you got probably be a trade up team. Like, especially because I think I'd bet the house that we're trading back.
Yeah.
And there's 3 players I root for to be there at pick 6 and we're on the board. And none of them are because I want them. It's because I want a trade back scenario. That's Love, that's Ruben Bain, and that's Caleb Downs. I want all 3 of those guys on the board when the Browns are on the pick because I feel like teams will be calling. Like I feel like the Chiefs would be calling. I feel like the Dallas Cowboys will be calling. The Rams would be calling. You imagine the Rams adding, I mean,
Yeah.
Rams adding Jeremiah Love. Like that.
Yeah. But see, like the Browns, it puts the Browns in an interesting position if Love is still there because you could call any team in the NFL and you go, "Hey guys, Washington said they're taking him at 7. So
Yep.
if you're interested in the Love sweepstakes, throw us a couple pickaroos, and
And they're probably the same
try to move
conversation with
up."
Bain too, right?
Yeah.
Our David Bailey somehow made it there, or Arvell Reese, like any of those elite edge players. It's so many people would want them that you'd probably just be like fielding calls, be like, "Hey, we don't want them. Just come get them,"
Yeah.
and jump the Commanders because the Commanders could go. The Commanders could do a lot low key. They're kind of not talked about. Kind of a really fun draft team right now. They're kind of like towards a they're kind of past the point where like the players people like to talk about might be gone. You know what I mean? Like the Arvell Reese and
Yeah.
David Bailey and guys like that might be gone. But man, that's because they could go Love if say Love and Bain and Downs were there. They could pick any 3 of those. And I don't think any of them would be shocking. You know what I mean? It's just which one
No.
do they value more?
Well, and I think the team it would be instantly better. Like any of those guys, like I shared it last year with the group chat that like they're the oldest team in the NFL, isn't it by like 2 years? They have the oldest average age of player.
Which doesn't sound like a huge deal, but that's actually insane. Like that's an
That's
insane
massive.
age
Yeah,
gap.
I mean that's crazy. Someone did something poorly for that to happen. From
Yeah.
a sustainability standpoint of roster construction, that's a big deal. So they're in the position where anybody they take could be better. But you were talking about Love being a foregone conclusion to the Titans. Like people were talking about it like that. Like oh, it's
It's just
if
every mock I'm seeing is Love at this point. And
me
I get
too.
it, but like I said, it's just like I would venture to say their offensive line's as bad as Cleveland's, if not maybe worse, because I saw us play that team last year. And
Yeah,
I feel
well at
like
least we
Cleveland made more better moves this on the offensive line specifically. I feel
yeah
like Cleveland made more of an investment to make it maybe middle of the pack. You know what I mean? And I feel like
yeah.
the Titans, like I said, what guy are you there that's confident you're confident to starter outside of
Well,
the right guard? You know what I mean?
I got a wild card for you, man. Imagine on draft night the Titans are on the clock. Mike Vrabel is in there with the GM and the rest of the front office. Any of the Ohio State guys are on the board.
Is Diana Rossini in the room too, do you think?
She is, yeah, under the desk. Diana
And
Rossini.
we're
Come
Mike Vrabel
on,
fans. We're
lady.
gonna let that go. We're gonna let that go. We're Mike
Hell yeah.
Vrabel fans.
Hey, it is what it
Sorry,
is,
continue
man.
your point. So they're
Uh,
in the room. What's the situation? Go ahead, play
yeah.
it out.
So they're in the room, man. I would love to see someone try to talk Mike Vrabel out of Sonny Styles at 4 or
Yeah.
at 4. Like or if by some miraculous stretch Arvell Reese is still there, I think Vrabel would love the Ohio State guys. I don't know necessarily if they would take Downs that high, but I've been seeing Sonny Styles as high as 3 to the
Yeah.
Cardinals.
That's crazy, man.
And if we're valuing him that much in that way, bro, it's not out of the question that Vrabel
And
goes, I want the Buckeye.
The
at
Cardinals is
4.
another fun one too, where that's probably, I feel like I haven't seen a lot of people say it, that the Cardinals got to be a huge trade back team.
Yeah,
Huge at pick 3, dude. And they know they're going to be bad. You know what I mean? Like they have, doesn't really seem like they have a plan. Jacoby Brissett starting quarterback. So it kind of feels like, I don't know, their defense is awful. Their offense could use probably anything outside of receiver. That they're sticking with Marv, and Michael Wilson just had a career year. So Cardinals is probably a fun trade back team that we're not talking about right now. And I just don't know who'd move up to that point. It'd probably be a team maybe like the Commanders that would be like, hey, we want to get in front of the Giants to
yeah, just
draft.
skip the line. Yeah,
Yeah, we want to get in front of the Giants for, one of the defensive, probably a defensive player, I'd imagine at that point, not an offensive player.
yeah.
Um,
But I think with the
and,
Cardinals, like if the Cardinals move back to 15th, like they could take a player at 15th that makes the team instantly better.
yeah.
So I don't, like, yeah, we could take, a David Bailey at 3 or whatever, but I don't know. I don't know if the benefit of taking a guy at 3 versus the benefit of trading back and getting an extra pick for next year would outweigh that at all.
You know how much our brains are fucking mush right now? We just talked like Mike Vrabel is still in the Titans fucking head coaching. We just ran over that and didn't even think about it.
Oh, damn. I just
That's how
went
much our
totally
brains are mush right now.
damn, dog. Let me
If you're
let me
not talking to me about players in the draft, I'm not in the conversation.
let me take my hat off for that, man. I need to put my hat over my heart and tell our fucking listeners, man, look,
I didn't guess that's all I was just seeing. I was like, why are we talking about Mike Vrabel? He's pick fucking 31.
I've been knee deep in guard film from fucking Arkansas.
Hey, you're not
Hey,
wrong though. If any of those Buckeyes made it to 31, I'm sure Vrabel would fight
fucking
people in the
A.
room to draft.
No shit, man. And we got some Rossini hate in, man, for no Rossini caught shots for no reason talking on a pod, man. Fuck. Sorry about that, listeners. You know how we do it, man. This just further reinforces, man. We don't get paid for this shit. We do this shit for the love of the game, man. I don't have to be locked in like an Adam Schefter does, man. I can say whatever the fuck I want, man. But Eric, brother, let's move forward, dog. Let's talk real quick, just real quick about the Browns, and then let's get into a Browns mock, bro.
Okay.
So, did you hear the Todd Monken interview about winning changes everything? When they said like, how do you defeat the perception of the Browns that if it can go wrong, it will go wrong? And he said, well, you win. I actually love that. I know obviously it's what he had to say and it's a cliche answer and I know that's
And it's the
canned.
right answer. As much as like I don't want to be that guy, but that is like the for
Yes.
any new coach that's on a bad team, hey, like how do you fix the culture? And it's like, oh well, winning solves a lot of issues. And it's just like, yeah, it's cliche because it's a lot of cliches are fucking true. That's true. You know
Yeah.
what I
No,
mean?
absolutely. But the thing is with him, like I almost believe it. Like I almost believe that he wants to be better. With Kevin, I kind of felt I don't want to talk about Kevin. It's like, talking shit about your ex-girlfriend, or
Yeah.
talking shit about your baby mama in front of the kids. Like I feel
Yeah.
bad doing it, bro. But like with Kevin, I always felt like there was some ulterior thing that like, yes, in 2 years we'll have enough picks. We'll be able to draft
Well,
high. When the
and
contract
that's
turns over, we'll do this. I think with Todd, genuinely, he's gonna try to win as many fucking games as possible. Like get rid of all the other shit about plan for next year and all this.
and I'll be honest, I think Todd has light a lot shorter runway than Kevin did this time last year. Like, and that's why, like, I go back and forth with Monken. He says shit that gets me really excited, and then there's other shit that happens where I'm like, this feels like the most one and done head coach of all time. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
his answer to they asked him about missing the picture at the league meetings, and it did come up. The reason McVay missed it too is because they moved the time, and those two just didn't get informed that they moved up the time of the picture. And Tom Monken said, like, I don't give a shit. He's like, I really don't care. He's like, they can AI me into it if I need to be in it that bad. But like, I don't give a shit. I was getting a
Yeah,
haircut for the
man.
picture, yeah. But like, he's like, they moved up the time and I didn't know about it. Because he
Yeah.
could tell he was kind of annoyed with like it coming up, like obviously. So I think it's gonna
Yeah.
be real interesting because it's just if they're bad for a full season, I don't know if there's much reason to keep him around because of his age and Like if the offense is going to be lackluster, lack creativity, it's probably going to be like, okay, so we brought you here to improve this side of the ball and you didn't do it. So it's just like, I don't know. I go back and forth. I get excited about them. Then, like I said, other voice back of my head's like, this is a one done and coach. Like this is a one and done coach. And I think it's because I know the roster
Yeah.
that it makes
Oh
me so
yeah.
much more pessimistic. Is because I
Well,
know what players are on this team right now.
hear me out. Hear me out. While we're talking Mike Vrabel on the Titans and unhinged, poorly researched takes, here's a weird one for you. So say the Browns win 7 games this year, right? And now I understand this would be completely unprecedented, but the Browns are the team that does the unprecedented shit, both for not necessarily the good. Pretty much all of our unprecedented moves have been net negatives. But, you know, is there any situation where we go 7-10, miss the playoffs, obviously, offense looks marginally better, and we actually look like somewhat of an organized team? Is there any chance he would take a demotion? Do you think there's any situation where they say, "Look, dude, you did fine. You are our gap guy." Is there any chance they're like, "Hey, we'll hire a Shieldhouse or one of these young cats. Monk, you keep running the offense, man. Less responsibility, and we'll give you a bunch of money."
At 7-10, no, I don't think they make it. But that's with let me be marginal here too when I say that. Like at 7-10, no. At six, that's right. Yeah, 17 games, right? Yeah, 17 games, 7-10. At 6-11, I feel like it's a total different conversation. Like I don't know why it just is in my head. It just is. Like
Yeah,
if they're 7-6-11, and the quarterback room still looked as bad as it did last year, and the offense doesn't have many bright spots, specifically the young players they're going to draft now and the young players they drafted last year. So last year, I mean, Judkins, Fannin, and Sampson, of course, who I want to have a bigger role in this offense. And obviously Shadur, um, Gabriel, sure, throw him in there, I guess. But then it's just whoever they draft this year, because I think me and you are both aligned that no matter where they pick at in the first round, even if they only made one first round pick, their second round pick would be the tackle or receiver they didn't take in the first round. That's just
yeah,
where I'm at. So, like, if those guys were, if the offense was, let's say, below middle of the pack, but it looked like Shadur took a step where you feel like, okay, look, he needs to play another year. Like, we want him to play another year. I feel like that'd be enough for me to be like, yeah, keep him. Like don't
yeah,
shake the boat. Let's run it back. Improve where you have to. Just give me an identity, I guess, is what I want. I want an identity on offense. If there's an identity I can follow and I can see the team, being good enough to make a wild card spot the year after next, I'd be like, yeah, okay, cool. But that's what I think I need to see from a 60-year-old head coach. Like
and that's what I think. That's why I pose that question, is because, like, there would have had to have been a conversation with Todd Monken that, like, look, dude, like, this coaching thing might not be long for this world, brother. Like, you might be here for a good time, not for a long time, man. And it might be a unique situation. And I read nothing about this. This is just, I pulled this right out
yeah,
of my head. Like, I just wonder if there could be a situation where the Browns and lose often, 5-win season, 6-win season, 7-win season. And they go, Todd, we got these young upstart offensive minds. The team's got a little bit of an identity now. Why don't you take the OC job and, we'll hire one of these young guys?
my only pushback, if that was the case, there's no chance he'd stay in fucking Cleveland.
No, you're probably right.
He's
Yeah.
got too many. He's got too many friends. He'd go coach with Harbaugh again, or he'd go coach, fucking go get a Georgia job. Go be the OC at Georgia again. There's no way he'd stay to be an OC in Cleveland.
Yeah.
Like I
No,
really, I
I,
really don't think that. Like it. Yeah, I don't think so. And plus, I wouldn't want to. Let's Shield House and that guy I liked from the Jaguars. If we were hiring one of those two guys, and you're going that young, it's almost just like, hey, this is gonna be a long thing, hopefully. So like bring who the fuck you want. Like I'm
yeah.
don't hand that was the thing with Schwartz, was like they got to the point with Schwartz where it's like, hey, like you're not getting the job and we can't keep dangling in front of these coaches that we want to hire. They're like, hey, but you have to keep him on as DC because that's not the way you run a fucking coaching search, bro.
Yeah, that's not the
And
way you
it's
do it, man.
fucking pitiful that we're talking about this. Dude hasn't even coached a game yet, and we're talking about this because we can't
Yeah.
help it. You know what I mean?
And I know it's pants on head stupid, man. I get it. I gotta ask a question, man.
No,
I'm
you're
I'm
good.
just I'm just here as a little mediator,
I hate we have to give as much thought as we are right now.
Yeah, man. But let's move on, man. Let's do a little mock draft for the people, man. So old Eric here's gonna hopefully screen share so y'all can see what we got going on. Eric, man, close all them X-rated tabs, brother, before we're live for the people.
All right, let me know. Can you see me?
Yes, sir. I can see you just fine. So
Okay, we're using a different mock draft simulator this time. One has a little bit less ads and stuff, so it should be less BS popping up.
yeah, yeah. So we're gonna go ahead and do mock draft as the Cleveland Browns. And kind of while we're going here, let's do it under the idea of like, we really are the Browns. What are the Browns thinking here? If everything falls how it falls in the mock, what are the Browns gonna think if they're handed these type of situations, man? So I'm gonna turn it over to you, Eric, man. Let's get it started, brother. What do we got?
All right, we'll do 4 rounds because the fifth round's where I get dicey on fits and stuff. And I just honestly, the fifth round where players out to have to Google who they are and what school they went to for certain players. 4 rounds, I
Yeah,
feel pretty confident knowing the guy. So, or at least knowing of him. So we'll go
yeah.
4 rounds, normal. I'm not gonna play with any of that. That's all the regular set AI behavior. So we'll leave it to that. And let's get going here. All right, can you still see everything okay, TJ? Let me know if you can't.
Yes, sir. We're all good, man.
Okay, so we're at pick 6. Let's go ahead and start this. Cool. A little bit of a surprise. Mendoza won, obviously. Reese went 2. Sonny Styles went 3. David Bailey went 4. And Carnell Tate went 5 to the Giants. So, and this is a scenario I was telling you where if there's a world we're living in and that we want to trade back, and Jeremiah Love, all the offensive tackles are still left. Caleb Downs and Ruben Bain are on the board. I feel like that makes a really good trade scenario for Cleveland. But if there's a guy you like here, man, talk me into it, you know?
No, I'm team trade back as well. I think obviously with the offensive line stuff, if Malinyo is on the board, I here's the thing, man, is I'm not cool, hedging our immediate future on a guy that's got to get drafted and immediately move. I don't like people act like, oh, just play him at guard, just play him at tackle, move him to the left. There's a lot more that goes into that than you might think. I guess if you don't know a ton about offensive line play, it's not just as simple as like switch him over to the left. That's a whole different thing with the mechanics of the body and muscle memory and stuff. So he's the only one that I would consider taking, but on my own principles, I'd stay away, man. I'd look at the trade offers.
Yeah, and honestly, I think I look at Fano as good as I do CC at this point in draft too, because Fano is his pass sets are a little iffy, and that's partly because Utah just doesn't pass the ball a lot, and they run a
Yeah.
funky ass offense. So like but he is physical as all hell. Fano is, dude. He's just a bully. And like I said, if you draft CC or Fano here, I think I'd be okay with it. But like you said, I'd want to start them at tackle
Yeah.
immediately. And then if we got to move them, kind of like the Patriots playing with Campbell is. And that's the right plan, I think. Like, hey, we draft him this side. Let's play him at tackle first. If that doesn't work in a year, we'll move him in and then, give ourselves another offseason to solve this tackle issue. But like, you're going to have to be patient. So the thing with offensive linemen, you got to be patient, dude. Like, we got to be ridiculously patient because if you rush them, it's going to be a rotating door. But let's see what offers they're giving us. So it says Miami's calling with 11 and 43. And it says the Jets are calling with 16 and 33. But let's go look back at this board. When I look at this, I like count. When I look at these trade back scenarios, I'm really stupid, like dumb to find this down. But I always count how many players there are that I like that I know I'm guaranteed in a trade back. You know what I mean? So
Yeah. No, that
the
makes sense.
Miami's at 11. So we need to count 6 players here that we think we'd be okay with being there at 11. Or if you want to entertain the Jets and get that first pick in the second round and move back to 16. So I think
Yeah.
both
See,
tackles we'd count, right? as one and
Yeah.
two.
Yep.
I think Downs in the trade back scenario, you'd take them.
Yeah, I think so. The part of the Jets offer that is interesting to me isn't necessarily the 16, it's the 33.
Hmm.
I
Yeah,
think that
that's
the 33 makes it interesting. To me, the Miami offers and kind of enticing, but I think of all the guys you're looking at, they would probably still be there at 16, whether that be, maybe a Lemon. Fano might find his way still there at
Freeling
16.
at 16 would be great, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, that's Tyson at 16, I'd be fine with. Parnell Tate already went in this scenario. So those, if we move back to 16, I'm hoping it's realistically, I'm hoping it's Tyson, Lemon, and Freeling. And then if any of the other players are there too, I feel like that's just icing on the cake.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm cool. I'm cool with the Jets offer, man, if you are.
Okay. Yep.
Let's
Well,
move
so we're
back
going to
to
trade pick 6 to the Jets for 16 and 33. Okay. And I'll scroll us back up. Wow. The Bucks went Kenyon Sadiq. And then yeah, these mock draft scenarios are not perfect. So the Jets traded up for Jeremiah Love, which,
oh,
okay. Jordan Tyson went pick 7 to the Commanders. Ruben Bain went to the Saints. CC went to the Chiefs. Makai Lemon went to the Bengals at 10. The Rams went Fano. They traded up. And then the Cowboys took Caleb Downs. So
Pete,
I just wanted to highlight a couple players that we were interested in.
Peter Woods to the Ravens at 14 would be the most Ravens pick. Like of all the Ravens guys, man, Peter Woods. What a
Yeah,
name.
yeah, I know. And could you that defensive line, oh, especially in the interior with him and that what's that Ravens guy that was hurt a lot last year? The
Oh
dog.
yeah, I forget his name.
Yeah,
Uh
God. See, I told you guys we are mush right now because we've only been drafted.
so let's yeah, right. Let's look at the board, man. There's a big name still on the board, and about as big a name as they get because he's about 6'8", about 310 pounds, man. Monroe
Yep.
Freeling. That's
And if you're building a tackle on paper, he's got some shit to improve. He has the tendency to lean. His run blocking isn't perfect. He's going to be, like I say, you're going to have to be patient with him. But if you're looking for a left tackle and you think he's your left tackle at the future, you're getting him in a trade back scenario. I think he's the only guy you consider at this range right now. I don't think you'd reach on anybody else.
Yeah. And I mean, I said it in our lost episode. The thing with Freeling to me is that oftentimes you see these tackles come out of college and they have a habit of being like lumbering like oafs. Like what's the dude's name from Miami? Markel Bell.
Yeah. We didn't
He's
give up
like
a sack for 2 seasons.
yeah, yeah. He's like a massive like lumbering oaf. Like
Yeah.
you look at him, he looks heavy. You look at a guy like Dewan Jones, he plays like he's 800 pounds, not in a bad way, but you understand that he has certain athletic governors put on
Yeah.
him. Monroe Freeling is, like I said, 6'8" and 310 pounds. He's built like he's 225.
He
Like
looks like a basketball player.
yeah, he's not
Yeah.
overly thick in any areas. He's just very gangly and long, and he has a very athletic build. And honestly, yeah, I think if we're there at 16, if Freeling's there at 16 still, I think that's the pick, man.
Yeah. And I think you'd be I'll venture to say I'd be over the moon about this in a real life scenario. Trading back,
Yeah,
picking up extra picks, and you still land who might be left tackle one. Let's look at the trade offers though, just because we're curious. I don't think either of them are enticing enough. LA wants to move up for 22.86, 204. And then the Seattle wants to move up for 32.64 and 188. I don't think we can take any of those. I think we got to stick and pick here.
no, I'm hanging up on both of
All
them.
right, we're gonna take Freeling here. I agree with you. And like I said, I think he's got to be patient with him. I think he's a ball. The ball, as far as the ball clay goes, it's all there.
Yeah,
It's just you better be able to coach him, and you better not rush him out the door if he has a bad rookie season. You know what I mean? Like, but
yeah,
all right, Monroe Freeling's a pick at 16. Feel pretty good about that in the trade back scenario. We still got our guy, maybe our guy, one of our guys. And this is a really interesting one now. So we're sitting here pick 24. Just took me real thrilling, and the guys on the board that are staring at us right now. Looks like there's definitely a little bit of a run on receivers. Casey Conception, Omar Cooper just went, and two of the last four picks. So now we're staring at safety. Thieneman's there from Oregon. Emmanuel McNeil Warren's there from Toledo. Caden McDonald's up there. I don't think you're thinking deep. So is Caleb Banks, but I don't think you're thinking defensive tackle.
No, no, I don't think so.
We can
God,
look at trade offer again. We can see the Saints are offering us 42 and their second and third round pick and 150. And then the Seahawks are offering us 32, 96, and 188.
yeah. See, I even now, I think you still got a stake and pick, man. I think if you give the Browns this scenario, I don't know if they're super upset about it. I mean, obviously, it didn't go perfectly to how you wanted it to go, but I think with players like Thieneman on the board, McNeil Warren, obviously, you got some safety questions. And with the new, what's the new DC's name? I forget his name. They got a nickname for him, and I don't remember. But the download on him is that he like loves nickel players. Like he needs like a box
Yeah.
safety.
Rutenberg is his name.
Yeah, Rudy, that's it. Yeah. So I would look at safety. I mean, you got Boston there if you want to reach a little bit. The big giant pink elephant with sparklers in the room is Ty Simpson, still there on the board. Now, I'm not a Ty Simpson guy. Do you think if Ty Simpson was around at 24, there's any inklings in the house that they might take him? Or do you think all that is just baseless claims, by the
So
football media?
for Ty Simpson in particular, I feel like I'm higher on him than other people are. Thought his tape that he put out before he got hurt, he was a totally different player before he got hurt. With that being said, he's still very undersized. He only had 15 starts. There's issues. I don't think they'd consider it here, but talk to me in a couple picks, I probably would. I do think Caden Proctor's interesting here because he's another guy you're looking at like a real ball clay, and he could probably play guard too if you needed him to. So
Yeah.
that one's interesting. The Thiemann and McNeil Warren, I kind of want to ask you though. So are we drafting to replace Delpit in a year? Or are we drafting someone to start next to Delpit for the next couple of years? Because that's how I'm looking at these two players. I think Thienemann's more of your typical like Ronnie Hickman replacement, like good in coverage. And I think McNeil Warren is the guy that's going to come down and play the run really hard, going to be your box guy. He's got some fun blitz packages. He's a bigger build. Um, yeah, what do you think though? Because I like both these safeties a lot. If we're going safety here, I'd be fine with either pick. I'm just curious which one you value more and Ruenberg's offense.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think, like oh man, for the Browns defense. So Delpit, I don't think Delpit does a bad job necessarily.
Yeah,
Like I wasn't super high on Delpit. Delpit to a certain extent proved me wrong with
has
some
exceeded
of,
expectations. Yeah,
yeah, at least what I thought for, a college guy that was coming in and he, injured almost immediately. Uh, I wouldn't be too upset to replace Delpit, but to me, the big one is Ronnie Hickman. That I think if you replace Ronnie Hickman with a Thieneman type player, I think the defense is instantly better. And I think Thieneman had the kind of combine and had the kind of athletic numbers that you would need for the Browns here to go, okay, we this guy's a real athlete, proven track record as a ball player at Oregon, like he would live up to it. So in this situation, I would probably go Thieneman.
yeah.
But I don't know if either are a bad choice. I think it's just preference, like,
Well, and I think the Thieneman thing that keeps coming back to my mind too, even though I know more about Emmanuel McNeil Warren because I know he's there in this range, is I don't know if Thieneman would be in this range.
yeah,
And I feel
yeah,
like he is going to
exactly.
be day one starter. He's going to be better than Emmanuel McNeil Warren. I think he might be more or less fun, but he might be. That's just because he doesn't do stuff that is going to amount to tackles for loss, or you know what I mean. Like he's not going to play like. But like you said, if we did draft Emmanuel McNeil Warren, it'd kind of be like, yeah, but kind of are you forcing a need with Delpit now, like where you got to trade him or something? So let's go with Thieneman here.
Yeah,
This is a
let's
fun player
go.
I haven't thought about for the Browns that I think I'd be pretty happy about. If I don't know, I'd rarely see him there at this point either. So that feels like pretty good value. Immediate starter, immediate upgrade to this defense.
Let's
Some
do
icing
it.
on top for that defense. And not to mention the DC that loves safeties.
See what we got. Got Ty Simpson of the Dolphins. That's interesting. Yeah. It's a couple
Cassius Howell went to the Chiefs. The Chiefs traded up. They had 2 first-round picks. K. McDonald. So the Chiefs had drafted K. McDonald and Cassius Howell. Because they traded. The Chiefs had 3 first-round picks in this mock. That is crazy.
yeah. No, they
Blake
got
Miller
busy,
went
man.
28 to the Raiders, who I like a lot. Akeem Mesidor. Yeah, and now we're staring at this board. Oh, I like it though.
There is a big
So
old name on the board, isn't there? In Denzel Boston, man.
yeah, I think you got
The
to run the card in.
yeah, I think if
I mean,
Denzel Boston's there, it's a wrap, man. A big bodied red zone target. Didn't test like athletically super well, like but the tape speaks for itself, man. He's
I
a
was about to say, TJ, I know this was a player you had strong opinions about when the draft process first started.
yeah,
And
yeah,
dude, I went back and watched, and like I said, because I thought that quarterback was pretty good, dude. He missed him. So Denzel Boston would have had double his touchdowns with a Julian Saint type quarterback. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Or like CJ Carr or any of the Ty Simpson or Fernando Mendoza. Like he would have had better production with a better throwing quarterback.
yeah,
Obviously, I think you got to think about offensive line here. Caden Proctor still being there is kind of crazy. Like he's another guy that ball clay, like I said, is really good. I mean, I don't make Nero Warren's still there, but we just took a safety. We're not going to double down on safety. Yeah, I think
yeah.
Boston's a pick. Just honestly, you need to take a receiver, and he's the best
Boston's a
one right
move.
now.
Yeah,
Yeah, by a pretty large margin. Chris Bell and Brazel, I both like a lot. I don't know if I like them as much as Boston. All right, we'll go Denzel Boston here.
yeah. Let's
We'll
do
be
it.
back on the board in just a couple picks, thanks to our trade back.
Okay. So we got Caden Proctor going to the Titans, Max Ihenacher going to the Texans, Colton Hood to the Giants, CJ Allen to the Texans. Okay. I mean, we got some picks here. There's some names on the board, man. So I think the big name that sticks out to me is Basantis. I think Basantis is going to be really good. I don't think he's a fit for the Cleveland Browns right now. I think if he goes to like a more zone heavy team, he might be a really good player almost instantly. But I don't see him in. He's not a big like people mover like the Browns have been
Yeah,
acquiring. So you look at the list right now. I mean, a couple corners. I wouldn't. Corners might be a late draft thing. Uh, Cisse and Chris Johnson, both really interesting players. Um, Chris Brazel, also super interesting. But Tennessee receivers scare me to death, man. Just
and
scare
Chris
me to
Chris
death.
Bell's a fun one too, because dude, you don't. I know he's coming off that injury, but you talk about freaks. A guy, six. I think he's like 6'1", 6'2", 225. A guy
Yeah,
that big that has that movement that he does is kind of crazy. Let's
yeah,
look at our trade offers here. We don't have to trade back, but let's just see what we're getting called with. The Saints are offering us to move back only 3 picks. Ravens are offering us, I'm not trading with the Ravens. Get out of here. Jags are offering us their second and third round pick, but it's moving back a lot. And then the San Francisco one, I don't think is very reasonable. It's 2 fourths and 58 and round 7. And next year's, I'm going to decline that just because I don't think it's realistic. And then we have
yeah,
Chicago calling with 60 and 89.
yeah. See, if it's me, I can't speak on behalf of the Cleveland Browns. I'm making a pick here, man. Can
What are you
can you?
thinking? And
I like Pregnon, man. And
okay.
I think he could be the heir apparent to Joel Patonio. He's a big, strong, massive human being. Played enough college football for me to feel comfortable in picking him, but he'd probably be my pick. Now, I would understand completely if we went Chris Bell here as well, because I think if you kind of grab two different archetypes of receiver in Chris Bell and Denzel Boston. I wouldn't be too upset about it, man. What do you think?
Yeah, so I'm looking at these. By the way, this draft chart, just to be clear, has Rutledge way too low, in my opinion. So I think there's three guards here I'd like in this range with Basantis, Pragon, and Rutledge. I think those are the three that I like a lot in this range. Receiver, Chris Bell, Brazel. I think those are only two you're considering at this point. And Tony Williams is a fun one, so is Zachariah Branch, but I feel like it's too early for either of those guys. But
Yeah,
looking at the receiver board, I feel a lot better about getting a receiver than I do a guard in the third round, early in the
yeah,
third round. So I
no
think we
doubt.
should go. I just don't know enough about these corners to have a good take about them, and that's kind of on me. So,
Yeah,
because this could be a corner pick, it wouldn't surprise me, but I just don't know enough to make that pick right now, personally. So,
yeah,
I mean, do you want the board says it's early, but me and you both know Rutledge. This doesn't feel early. If you're talking yourself between Bazan, I know you didn't say Bazan, so we said Pragon and Rutledge. Where would you lean there?
yeah, yeah. I would. I like Rutledge. Rutledge is my favorite guard in the draft. He is just absolute, just fucking nasty. He's just nasty. He's the kind of player that you need. You know, like to to take the place of a Joel Batonio after this season, hopefully, you know. So I would go Rutledge, but like you said, he's way too low on this big board. I had him above Connor Liu and Pregnon.
Yeah,
Um,
I think
y-
most people. I feel like most people do, honestly.
yeah, yeah, I'd be cool going Rutledge, man.
All right, let's go Rutledge because we feel confident we'll get another contributing receiver. If I was picking a receiver here just for clarity, I would probably go Chris Bell because I think that'd be a fun combo. If you didn't take Boston and Brazel is still there, I'd be probably okay with the Brazel pick too because I think he has elite traits. But yeah, let's go Rutledge. This is going to say to reach, but I don't really care what this mock says. He's got more hype going in round one than he does round three. Okay, so a little bit of a run on offensive line after that. Jonah Coleman went second round to the Bears. Malachi Fields went. It's Ron. Oh, height's a weird one. Okay, and this is where you can just talk me into BPA most of the time.
Yeah, I mean,
Ooh.
so you're leaving the draft with Monroe Freeling, Dylan Thieneman, Denzel Boston, and Keelan Rutledge. So as much as I would think offensive line would be like dealt with here, like yeah, I'm pretty sure if we take two offensive linemen in the top 70 picks, I would assume we're probably done with offensive line for the draft. Would you agree?
At least in the top four rounds. Round five through seven, those are all fucking dart throws anyway, in my opinion, most of the time. So if you want to draft well, like an Austin Barber late, that huge guy
Yeah,
out of Florida, like if you want to do something like that, that's totally fine. But I don't think we should triple down on it. Look, and Keith Abney's an interesting one. Kamari Ramsey, then Jadarian Price is there, Antonio Williams is there, David Igbinosun. Davidson Igbinosun is. I watched that guy for 2 years, and I just know he'd fit so easily into Cleveland's defense, dude, because he's a strong corner. He likes to play man. He likes to get in your face. That dude would fit in so well. Receivers here. Let's see what receivers we got on the board. Yeah, Antonio Williams, Zachariah Branch would be a fun pick with the boss after the Boston pick. Zachariah Branch would be actually pretty fun. Maybe he could learn slot for you and have Boston permanently outside, and you're getting two starters out of.
yeah,
Yeah, so
yeah.
it's really
See,
just
I think what's our next pick? Does it
our
say what our
next.
next?
Ooh, yep, one sec. Our next pick is, I think, our fourth rounder.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah, our next pick is
107, man.
107. So we got a little bit of a wait. So no one's going to fall to us. We can look at the trade offers. I don't think any of the trade offers. Yeah, you're getting fifth round picks back mostly. Dallas is offering you 92 and 112, which gives you another second round or another third round and then two picks in the fourth round, which isn't bad.
Yeah,
And you're
yeah,
only moving back 12 spots.
yeah. Let's take that Dallas offer, man. I like
Okay,
that.
I'm cool with that. I'm cool with that because there's a lot of players I still like right now. So, and they traded up for Caleb Thurman, the Northwestern tackle. Zach Branch went to the Falcons. Okay, we're back on the board. Oh, there's a fun one here. There's a fun one. So there's Jadarian Price. I'm not drafting Jadarian Price out of the principal. I don't think he'll be there.
Yeah, yeah, no, he's gonna be gone. I'm
Antonio Williams
thinking.
is a super, super young player that a lot of people are high on just because of a bad Clemson scheme. Skylar Bell's another fun one. He gets a lot of like Puka comps where
Yeah,
he kind of had that product. Kyle Lewis is a super, super fun pick here. A linebacker that plays like a safety. Really,
yeah,
really, really good in pass coverage. That guy would beat the shit out of people at the Senior Bowl. Bryce Lance is here. He's like a burner. Harold Perkins Jr. is an interesting one. I don't know if we want the character though. See a world Delts there. Yeah, what are you thinking here, man? Because I got a couple players you could talk me into. What are you thinking?
yeah. I mean I like the Skylar Bell pick. I'm big on the small school guys that really churn out stats, man. Like I think he's definitely a good enough player just from the sheer amount of volume he
Yeah.
got in college that I don't want to say he's like a sure bet, but he could definitely contribute. I also really like Kyle Lewis. I was big on Pitt's scheme the last couple years. I forget their DC's name, but he's an absolute lunatic, just a maniac. They played like a hybrid 4-3 where Lewis was like the rover, and
Okay.
it's hard to explain. They played a 4-3. It was a 4-3, but it played like a nickel. And I don't know how to explain that to you, like without showing it
I got you.
to you, like showing a
Yeah.
rep. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah. Yeah.
he was kind of the rover style player, so he'd be really fun to add to the team too. But like even just looking at the board, like if you scroll down on the big board, there's still a lot of names there that I think could help out. Guys that would still be there.
Yeah. I think
What
I'm looking at this like receivers, and we pick again at 112, which is an 18 picks. So I kind of feel like Kyle Lewis might be the better value right now because there's still like if Bryce Lance was there at 110 or a Kevin Coleman, I'm okay with those guys. Skyler Bell just might be a perfect slot though, man.
Yeah, yeah, I'm cool. You're gonna decide this one, man. I think either Skylar Bell or Kyle Lewis, man. You need an extra receiver, and we need receivers, or an absolute wild card on defense, just an athletic specimen that has also played a good deal of college football, man.
Let's go Bell. Offense is a need, man.
Yeah.
Um, I wouldn't be upset if Kyle Lewis here. I definitely would not be upset. Yeah, let's go Skyler Bell. Let's try to figure out this slot. I feel good about the receiver room now. Delp went. I was hoping he fell.
Oh,
Delp went to the
Jadarian Price to the Steelers would break my heart, man.
yeah in round three especially.
Oh, oh man, that would break my heart.
All right, last round. I think we have two picks in this round because of our trade backs. So this is where you can just kind of throw. For me, you can throw shit at the fan. I don't like running backs. Is there a quarterback? We could have the Cole Payton conversation, man. There's some Taysom Hill to his game people are talking about, which could be kind
Yeah.
of fun.
Oh man, it's just the Drew Aller thing scares me to death, man. The Aller demons will be out on draft night, and I honestly, it's you know,
Are you
I
that
don't.
mad if it's the fourth round though? Are you that mad?
I
Like,
just think it's just immediately bad juju. Like something, that like sixth sense we have where like you can tell like if someone's looking at
yeah,
you.
yeah,
You know where they say that comes from. They say it's from like when humans were hunted by animals. You would need to know if there was like a predator looking at you. Whenever I think of the Browns drafting Drew Aller at any point in the draft, I get that weird feeling that a predator's looking at me, like that something is just wrong. The air it
yeah.
becomes thick, like something's just up, man. I would stay away from Drew Aller, man.
We
But
could go
there's
Sam Roche here, that tight end from Stanford who tested off the charts. He didn't have a lot of production, but he's a physical freak. You definitely need to add a tight end to this room, especially one that's going to be a receiver. Mike Washington, I'm not buying into. I don't think you can draft three running backs in 2 years in the top four rounds or five. Samson was
yeah.
a Samson was a fourth round pick. Um,
I I mean, from everything I'm seeing, it would appear, and find something wood over there down there in Columbus, Ohio, and knock on it because knock, knock, knock. It would appear as though Judkins will be able to recover
Yeah.
appropriately, and like he's moving well, and they don't think it's going to be like that big of a deal. But again, knock on wood just in
And
case.
if he does miss time, I'm kind of okay with Samson getting the looks when he does. Like I know they're not the same player, but I do feel like Samson offers a lot of athletic capabilities that if they just find a fun way to use him, it would be
Brother,
electric.
give me 20 carries a game if it means no more Jerome Ford.
Yeah. And
Fucking
then
hey,
I
anybody.
do want to
Give
touch on this Oregon corner too, this Jadon candidate. He's pretty much looked at as like a slot corner or nickel.
yeah.
So that would be a fun pick. We probably do need to pick a secondary player. I'd be
Yeah,
Is he the easy pick, you think, just because he could probably start year one?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, looking at these guys, you want other teams to take the bait on a Mike Washington. We already took a safety. I'm not huge on Emmett Johnson, but I'm not as low as some people are. I've heard people
Yeah.
like say like, "Oh, he's going to be out of the league in 2 years." No, he's an NFL player for sure. Isaiah World also not super sold. Singleton not super sold. Caleb Proctor there's like an athletic freak. Uh, I would say, if the Browns are in this situation, I would take Kennedy, and I would hope Roush is still on the board in a couple picks here.
All right, let's go to the corner. Let's go Kennedy. Okay, and Roush is still on the board.
Yeah, I mean
I just feel like
that's
Cole Payton could be a fun pick.
yeah, hell yeah, Cole Payton, man. Isn't he left-handed, man? Leave him for
Yeah, he's
Kevin.
left-handed. He's like 6'2", 235. He he literally people literally say you should draft him because he might be like a Taysom Hill, which would be hilarious that you draft a
Yeah,
quarterback to not really play quarterback, but it kind of be like, okay.
I love it. I would. I'd put nothing past us. Draft a
Yeah.
wildcat quarterback. There's. I mean,
The
wait,
two
is that?
Washington corners are still there, and they both tested off the charts.
Yeah, one of the best names in this draft, Ephesians Prysock.
Yeah, isn't he like
Uh,
the one that's like 6'4" 2" and ran a 4'2" something at the combine?
yeah, yeah. He's
Yeah,
just an absolute freak. Neither of the Washington corners are very like polished necessarily, but I see. I don't know, man. It's tough. I personally would go Roush. Uh,
I think so too. It fills a hole.
well, and I think he's a perfect bridge guy. Like a lot of people think like, you're either a receiving tight end or a blocking tight end. There's plenty guys that can do both at a serviceable level, and
Oh, dude, we
Roush.
just need you to replace Blake Whiteheart. Like that's all we
Yeah,
need
it
you to
ain't
do
that
year
big,
one.
man. Yeah, we ain't asking a whole lot,
Yeah, we'll
partner.
go
Just
Roush just because I feel like that makes the most sense.
yeah.
And then I want to see which I know our draft will be over, but I want to see which one of these. So Aller got drafted. One sec. I'll look where Aller got drafted. Once it Cole Payton just got drafted.
Drew Aller to the Eagles. There's a pick for you.
Did he really?
Yeah. Yeah, Drew Aller to the Eagles. Oh
Where did Cole
man.
Payton end up going? Cole Payton ended up going. Oh, he's still there. Okay.
Okay, good. Then we can pick him up in the fifth
Yeah. So
for
our
our
picks
Wildcat
were we
packages.
traded back a lot, but I think this honestly would be. I hope they trade back. I'm rooting for a trade back for Cleveland's sake. We went Freeland at 16, Dylan Thieneman at 24, Denzel Boston at 33, Rutledge, TJ's guy at 39, Skylar Bell at 92. Hopefully he can play SWAT in the future. We went a nickel in candidate, which kind of the nice thing with candidate is if he becomes an actual starter, you get a nickel for super cheap and don't have to worry about signing a guy for a couple years. And then we went Sam Roush, just the athletic freak for a tight end.
How
I
would
like this
you
draft.
feel,
I'd be
man?
ecstatic about this draft, honestly. I think I have Boston higher than I do a lot of other receivers. Like I think I'd take Boston over like Casey Conception. They're usually in the same range. And I feel like in a trade back scenario, if you got Boston in a trade back too, I'd be pretty ecstatic about it. And this is probably the first draft I've had where I didn't go tackle, receiver, receiver, tackle back to back.
Yeah, you ain't lying, man. I mean, that's a draft that I would be super happy with. And I I've been pretty outspoken about Denzel Boston, but I'd like to say too that that was before a lot of the film study stuff, before I watched him play a ton. And really my problem with him wasn't necessarily the play, it was not running at the combine. To me that's a weird personal thing for me. Just be a man. Let it all fucking hang out. Put your
Well,
nuts
and
on the table.
I felt a lot better when I actually went back and like watched his all 22 film because I was just like, okay, play speed's not an issue. He does get separation. Like he's
Yeah.
not like, you know how these big guys, there's no bigger bust in the league than the big receiver who doesn't get separation. And I don't feel like that's necessarily him. Like I feel like he does get separation. It's just he ended up in so many contested catch situations because that fucking quarterback was just he wasn't
Yeah.
helping him out all the time, especially in the red zone, you know?
Throwing the kind of passes Concepcion would need a butterfly net to come down with, like
Oh,
or
Casey,
like a
they're
yeah, one a fishing net, like yeah, when you watch Boston, he I don't think he's uncomfortable like with physicality. And with the NFL receiver, with the big body receiver, contested catches are one thing, but using the big size appropriately is important. Boxing the guys out on the comeback routes or the little hooks, the posts where you sit in the middle, 10, 12 yards off the ball and
yeah.
really box a guy out. I think he's comfortable doing stuff like that, which I really appreciate and I think is good for the
Well,
NFL game. Because as well as I do, this ain't college, brother. Guys aren't going to get 12 yards of fucking
dude, and
separation running across the field.
that's why the Casey Conception, I want to touch on him too, because I feel like that's a constant range I see is pick 24 is like receivers like Omar Cooper Jr., who I love. I love, I think he could be a copy and paste Jarvis Landry. You know what I mean? Like that's just who I think. I think he's super good contested. He blocks his ass off. He makes really good catches. I don't know how great his separation and stuff like that. Boston, from the film I watched, good separator, big guy. The body of work is there. And then Casey Conception is like the drop rate's really concerning. Like he had like a 10% drop rate last season, which is insane, especially if we want you to be a receiver one. But then I also saw like he's not a small guy who's also not a big guy. I think he's like 5'11". So many of his once I watched him, so many of his drops came when he was climbing the ladder for a ball. That's almost like okay, like I don't really value that the same as if Denzel Boston had a 10% drop rate. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
Well,
and
like
Casey
it like
Conception is another great returner too, elite returner you'd get day one.
and you have to be very careful with the drops because they're almost like errors in baseball. So when you have a
Yeah,
shortstop that has great range, it's like he might have more errors because he's able to get his glove on balls hit into the gap that a normal person wouldn't even
yeah.
be able to sniff.
Yeah, if Casey Conception's drop is that he's got 1 foot on the sideline and he's jumping up to make a catch a ball that's 8 feet in the air with one hand. It's just like not all drops are created equal. And I feel like that's a lot of his drop rate was because he was force fed. And
Yeah.
like I think he has a little injury thing too. Like he's really polarizing to me. That's a very polarizing player. Maybe the most so for a receiver for me currently outside of Jordan Tyson. Because if injuries weren't a thing, I think Tyson would be my number one receiver, probably by a
Yeah.
decent margin. I just think he's got it. Like I just if he stays healthy, he's the one in this class, I think. But I don't know. Selfishly, I want Carnell Tate too. Obviously, it's just I don't know if I could stomach picking him at 6 with the tackle room we have now, but multiple ways it's gonna cat. And I couldn't as soon as the pick happened, I'd be ecstatic. Just because like,
Yeah.
hey, we finally drafted a Buckeyes receiver as Cleveland. And I think Carnell Tate's gonna be fantastic. I just don't know if he's a receiver one, and that's my pause on him. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, and like I've said before, like what are you willing to pay for the best wide receiver two? Like if Carnell Tate's ceiling is the best wide receiver two in the league, but not a number one guy, like what is the price you're willing to pay? If you're an NFL team, because that's a concession you might have to make. Like how valuable is that? Like if he's not a Terrell Owens like number one receiver kind of guy, what are you willing to give up? Like where's the value on that? And like how far would you reach for a
Yeah,
guy that
it's like, would you draft Jordan Addison or T Higgins at 6 overall? You know what I mean? That's kind of like what you were
Yeah,
saying. Because like when I think of receiver twos, like I know Addison's got some shit going on. I still think the dude's stellar. He's talented as all hell. I think T's fucking awesome. And that's probably Carnell Tate's top is probably among that Pickens and T. Higgins range. You know what I mean? Like that's probably his
Yeah,
player comps as far as play style goes. And I don't know. And like we both love Quincy Carter,
yeah,
the Browns good, the Browns guy.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
He went on Browns Film Breakdown, which is my favorite Browns podcast. I can't recommend it enough. If you're a Browns fan, you need to listen to that podcast. They don't work for the team. They're not paid by Cleveland. They have their own opinions and they don't push narratives. They kind of had Quincy on, and Quincy kind of said, the reason I struggle to pick a receiver at 6 is because I don't know what receiver you get that immediately lifts that room that much with how bad the quarterback play could be again.
Yeah.
And I thought that was such a good way to break down the receiver. He's like, if you add Carnell Tate, yes, he's the best receiver in your room. Like, how much are we really going to see that if the quarterback play doesn't drastically improve over the course of this, next couple months into the season? And I was just like, that is a great way to break down this receiver
That's
room.
what I'm
But they
saying, man.
just need one so bad.
That's why Quincy's my guy, man. Quincy Carrier, man. Shout out, one of my favorite Browns personalities, man. He's almost always level-headed and cool, man. Look at shit from the outside, you know. And Browns Film Breakdown, also awesome, man. I watch them all the time, man. And yeah, I just wanted to add real quick before we wrap up on Jordan Tyson. He's good enough when you watch him play that you think something went wrong on defense. You're like, oh, it's a busted coverage. It's like, no, he's just fucking wide ass open in the end zone.
Yeah,
Nobody
yeah.
20 yards around him. It's like he's the kind of player that with the injury concerns, like Carnell Tate's ceiling might be like a T. Higgins type player. Well,
Mhm.
Jordan Tyson's ceiling is like Justin Jefferson type
Yeah. No,
player. Like,
that's seriously. Yeah.
so it's like, I mean, in a league where potential is more valuable than it's ever been, you look at that and you find a team like, let's fly out a fucking specialist just to follow this guy around, and like, take care of his
Yeah. Yeah.
joints. But yeah, you look at it like that, man, and it makes it tough where it's like, holy shit. It's like, what a conversation there is to be had at wide receiver this year. And what a conversation there is to be had all across the draft, man. It's an absolutely crazy year. And you know what? I'm super excited to do, hopefully, like if we're not going to do a draft like live reaction podcast, but dude, the episode we have immediately after the draft is going to be fucking flames.
We
And
should we should hop on night one. We'll hop on after the first round, and then we'll hop
yeah,
on again that next week after the rest of the rounds.
we'll
Iron
do
out
it.
just to discuss.
Yeah, and I was gonna say, like, if we don't record a pod, you better at least FaceTime me because we're gonna be talking some shit, man. We
Oh,
we
I'm
gotta
sure
know
we'll
what the
get we'll
fuck's
get
up,
at
man.
least one pod, and if not two before the draft. Yeah, probably one because it's 2 weeks away now. And then
Hell
yeah,
yeah,
definitely. I think we should hop on Thursday night. It'll be late, but I don't care. I'll be fucking
yeah.
wired. So
Say less, dude. I love it. America, I love you. Our beautiful listeners, I love you. It's been another episode of From the D.